Hi, my name is Jessica and I'm going to talk about some important facts about Celtic culture. I don't know much about cultures and I choose this one because I hadn't heard much about it before and it isn't as common as others. What is Celtic culture? It was an autonomous ethnic group formed of many people who share the same customs. They lived in the Iron Age until approximately 50 before Christ. They used to fight with each other and for that reason they couldn't progress. I looked for images and I could see that most of them were warriors, also including women. Where was this culture located? They were distributed in different parts of Europe like Ireland, Great Britain, France, Belgium, Holland, part of Germany, etc. In each country there were different types of cells. I feel that this culture has spent more than is said because they had the ability to adapt easily and also was a small group compared to other cultures. What is your type of language? There is an exact language for this culture because it exists in many countries. For example, they spoke the Breton, Irish, or also known as Welsh, Chronic, Manx, etc. But the most alive language of Celts is Gaelic. In the first picture you can see the general alphabet of Celts. Are there any typical style of dress? The men's clothing was short of long tunics, long pants attached to the ankle and the belt. The clothes are made with wool, whose most common colors were red, yellow, and blue. The women's clothing was long Roman style tunics with a belt and a shawl over their shoulders. They can also wear weight-plate skirts that roll up at the waist. The skirt reveals the ankle to avoid contact with the mud. I observed that those who were in the nobility were always clean and took care of their image. What are typical foods served in the culture? They had seasonal diet and they ate vegetables in the summer months and they saved the meat for when it was winter. Meal and grain are the basic products of the diet. They like very much roasting the grain and drink warm or hot beer. The wheelboard was a primary part of Celtic menu and I think they like meat a lot too. Do buildings have identified features? Yes, they were circular. The walls were made of stones, but in others they were interlaced rods covered with wood. The floor was made of bronze and their beds were made of leathers, and as mattresses they used moss or grass. On the outside it looks very rustic, but inside it missing many things. I feel that if I live there, I will feel very uncomfortable and I couldn't rest well. Also, I will feel dirty, but if it's necessary, I will live there. What was the social hierarchy like? First, our nobility. The nobility was very aristocratic and tried to distinguish themselves from ordinary people. There were 4 types of druids. Those with the lowest rank were the students or amdaurs. Then there were the bates, then the higher rank that was granted for the attributions and knowledge, and finally the true druids who made sacrifices and rituals. Second are the freedmen. They were the ones who didn't have many rights, like peasants, farmers, artisans, and metalworkers who wore iron with great skill. And third are slaves. They were bought by family to be the workers in the house and the field. What do people do for recreation? The sex party, it's known as Valentine's Day. It's celebrated on May 1st. In the period, young people could form tentative couples and they have a maximum of 1 year to decide whether to be together or separate. Feast of Death, it's celebrated on October 1st. Witches and wizards were said to perform their work spells, and fires were lit to keep evil spirits away from homes. And finally, the Eisteddfod Party. This festival is to promote Welsh language and traditional through competitive performance of drama, music, poetry, and is still held year after year today. In the second activity, I believe that today it will be known as Halloween. How do people greet one another? There wasn't word hello. The way they greeted was in the form of blessing. Dia duit, they say, which means my good be with you. When they say goodbye, they say Gu kumdai dia tu, which means my good help you, or Go koine dia tu, which means my good keep you. How do they measure time? The Celtic calendar being lunisolar reconciled the solar and lunar cycle. Each month corresponded to a lunar cycle that began with the new moon. Correspondingly, the months with 29 days were called Anmatos or unlucky, and those of 30 days were designated lucky or matos. Each year it was divided in 6 dark months that were November to April, and another 6 months with good weather with May to October. Knowing this information from your calendar, I realized that the years last longer and are more stable because they already know some months will be good and others will not. But in my case, it will be difficult for me to read it. Is the culture a high context or low context one? I think that this culture is low context because the decisions that were made for the true druid and the low level couldn't give an opinion. The work was separate from personal relationship, and their negotiated is a more direct. What symbol does represent Celtic culture? Tree scale, it means that there is a balance of everything, and it was said that it could offer healing properties and it was related to divinity. Celtic cross, there was an exact meaning. It said that the line symbolizes masculinity and the circle femininity and refers to the union of the two sexes. Ketra represents divinity, equality, indivisibility, life, death, and rebirth. The symbol showed the sky, sea, and the land, but years later the church used it to represent the Trinity. Tree of life is used to find a place to live. They were guided by looking for a large tree because for them it means that it will bring their town good luck, protection, and wisdom. Awen, it means inspiration and represents spiritual and divine illumination. It's the blessing of goods to men. Aus means fluid and en essence, and its translation is a spirit of fluid essence. Lauguro, it was a protection against devil or strangers invading the harvest place. What is the relationship between humans and nature? The soul based the beliefs on nature, saying it was the environment in which they lived, and then provided them with shelter, warmth, and food. Trees, meaning the pure essence of nature, were home. The Druids, Celtic priests, analyzed all the things they perceived from nature in order to converse with her, and when a good was invoked, they obtained the favor or words of the wind and the earth, in most cases through the trees. I like that they choose something so simple and common to make it something sacred, to the point of feeling protection and life from the trees. It's impressive how they could communicate with the goods through them. Do they have goods? Which are? Amaeton, he is one of highest good of Cel pantheon and of agriculture and its care. Angus, he was in charge of all the love of mortal. With his music he enchant all who listen to him. Arian Rod, she is a Maeton sister, he is the goodness of protection of sky. Lenus, she was a good of light and the good of fire. Beusama, she was the protective goddess of fire. Bile, he is considered the supreme good of the father of entire Gaelic lineage. Cernunos, he is the good of fertility, abundance and loss, of virility and renewal. Dagda, he had the ability to give and take life easily. He is the good of wisdom and magic. What did they do in their free time? The Celts devote much of their time and effort to decorating their weapons and armor, towards which they showed an almost reverential attitude. There were two types of weapons, those pieces created for battlefield and the other used especially for rituals. I did that who makes these weapons should spend time creating them, since they look beautiful and well made. Also, they look very resistant.